You are listening to the Foamy Heads Podcast, where we discuss craft beer and anything else that accompanies a glass.
Foamy Heads back in the building, chilling here. Mitch and Rich hanging out on the mics. Living Waters tonight, chilling, drinking beer. Mitch?
Yes. Sorry, I was repositioning my laptop.
We're having a good time tonight, man.
Yeah, we are.
We're hanging out at Living Waters. Got some comfortable tables and chairs, some nice swag hanging out here. Ryan, Living Waters, hanging out next to us. What's up, man?
Not much. Just drinking a little Kolsch and hanging out.
Ryan said he didn't have to work all day today. He did absolutely nothing today.
Uh-huh.
That's a fabrication.
So this is exciting. The last time we talked with Ryan,
It was the fresh pandemic.
Yeah. This was everybody was at home during the time, and I was not yet drinking milkshake IPAs, and sours were just kind of starting to come on my palate. I actually have Ryan to thank for that. Multnomah, I think. Multnomah was one of the first Gozas that I actually appreciated.
Wow.
So blueberry.
Blueberry muffin. You probably had the maple syrup one if it was back in 2020, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it
we'll
was
be releasing that in another couple months. So
Really?
Sweet.
Yeah.
First time ever on record, I'll probably be buying some of it.
It'll be the first time on record you're buying it a second time.
Shit, I did buy it the first time, didn't I? Yeah. Against my will, for the record, but this time it will be voluntary. That was good. So we were talking about Gozas and New England IPAs and all that, and that was kind of when we were all chilling then. But actually now, amidst the nasty Omicron variant, we're staying safe, kind of, but this time we're actually in public. We're actually all hanging out next to each other tonight.
Yeah, the space is amazing at Living Waters. It's got that nice coffee house vibe to it with the tap wall that just, man, it goes hand in hand. It really does.
I don't make it down here often enough just because Murfreesboro is a little bit of a drive away, but like whenever I go into Nashville, the goal is always stop at Living Waters, pick up a couple of 4-packs, have something on draft before I make my way somewhere else, because it's almost a wasted trip coming into Nashville from where I am and not stopping here and picking something up.
Definitely.
Easily top 5 favorite breweries in Nashville for me, Living Waters,
Thank you.
and ranking towards the top of it. So you make good stuff, Ryan.
Thank you.
So, and we're drinking something different tonight,
Yes.
starting out. Mitch.
So there was a whole trend this past 2021 with a return to some, like, I don't want to call them standard beers, but the beers from the mainland. Yeah,
Some crispy boys.
Yes, some crispy boys. That's probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
Because lagers came on the rise again, then Pilsners, and now we've got, Oktoberfest this year was kind of more amped up, I feel like, than the years previous with a bunch of Oktoberfest, Kolsches, and all sorts of stuff. And it's exciting to see these styles stay because they're just easy drinking, and they're great flavors.
This one's super tasty. What was this one called, Ryan?
This is Sieg. So this is our traditional German-style Kolsch. We serve it in a Stange, which is like German for like pipe or rod, because that's kind of the glass is just kind of like thin and tall. It's 200 milliliters, and there's just something about drinking a Kolsch out of a Stange that's just better.
And what was the idea behind coming up with this, like wanting to do something like that? Because traditionally you guys are, but New England IPAs, double dry hop New England IPAs, really heavy stouts typically, and then obviously branching into the sour game as well because you guys have a lot of those. And then I think later on we're going to be talking about the Baltic Porter, but Kolsch is kind of a surprise coming out of this place. What was the idea behind that?
Yeah, so I mean, 2020 made us do a lot of pivots, and we kind of had to like move into distribution and canning, and that was something that wasn't really in the plan. And so with that, like, we spent most of 2020 and 2021 trying to like catch up to like demand for like IPA and sour and We never really distribute stouts, so we keep stouts here because that's what I wanted to do. But then we released a Pilsner, and I think it was early 2021, like beginning of 2021, we released Triberg, which is our German Pilsner.
So good. Triberg was awesome.
Speaking of Triberg.
Yeah, and people just loved it. And we couldn't make enough of it because we let it lager as long as it needs to lager. And so we would sell out as soon as we released it and didn't have any left. And it's like, well, how can we meet this demand of people wanting more Crispies, but not like take 9 to 12 weeks to like release it, because we didn't have the tanks at the time. Now we have like 2 horizontals, and so we can do that. But before we didn't have like the tank space, and it's like tying up a tank for 12 to even longer is just difficult. Like it's hard to have a business and do that. So
right.
And I love Kolsch, and I just never made it because I thought that people didn't like Kolsch anymore. And so I was like, well, okay, if they really like German Pilsner, they're probably going to love Kolsch.
For sure.
So we gave it a go, and same kind of response as like Triberg when we released it. And so now we just kind of make it pseudo regularly.
Nice.
Sweet.
Doesn't take as long.
Yeah.
About 4 to 6 weeks.
That was going to be my question, is how long would it take to brew something like this from start to finish?
Yeah, I mean, it only takes about 2 weeks for it to like finish in terms of like the fermentation, everything like that. But then like for it to chill out and be like what we want from a Kolsch, another like between like 2 to 6 weeks of like lagering time, which is still less than like our, lagers, which are like 9 to 12.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man,
it's super tasty.
it is. I mean, this isn't the first time this has been out, and it's been consistent, and it's a returning beer in my glass every time I come here. Sometimes I find myself working here during the day, and it's a perfect beer to accommodate that afternoon. Just kind of like, I'm not gonna get drunk, but I'm gonna
not
ease
during the day
tension
anyway,
a little
right?
bit. Yeah. So ease the nerves.
So that's new to me. This is not the first time this one is out. This one's been out previously.
We have done. This is the 3rd iteration of Sieg. We actually have a 4th already in the tank. We don't really do core beers, but like Kolsch is a Kolsch, and we're just kind of improving on this one recipe and like always iterating on it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, we tried using some carbon neutral malts and French malts and German malts, just trying to like get it where we want it to be. This is actually the first time we've used our selection of Hallertauer Mittelfrüh, which is the hop variety from Germany that we use, that we got some selection on this year, which is great. So,
Hell yeah.
I drink this during the workday.
Oh, totally. And you guys amplified it with the glassware this time around.
Yes.
yeah.
It's perfect. And I missed the word the first time around. Can you say what kind of glass this is again?
It's a Stange.
Stange.
Just Stange.
Okay.
And it's the traditional glassware that they use in Köln and Cologne, Germany, for Kolsch. Like in Kolsch, in Cologne, they only make Kolsch. That's what all the breweries make. And so you kind of go to a bar or a brewery in Cologne, and the Kobe's go around and they give you a Stange full of Kolsch, and they keep serving you until you put your coaster on top of the glass. So.
Gosh, that sounds awesome.
Then they tally up the soldiers at the end.
Right.
Is this the style is this the glass that's going in the wheel that you guys are doing?
Yeah,
Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we just we worked with a local woodworker, local-ish, out of Franklin, and he's the one who did our Mythos caddies from last year.
Yes, I have mine upstairs actually, where all my other beer swag is.
But so we worked with him again, and I sent him some pictures. I'm like, this is what I want it to be, and this is how it's supposed to work, and yeah, so he made a whole bunch of them for us, and they turned out great. And so it'll carry 13 200 ml Stange glasses and a wheel, and you can now buy 13 Stange at a time for a discount. I think that's like 89. It's like, I want to say it's like 89 ounces or something crazy like that. So it's definitely for a party. It's not, unless you want to have a party.
Right.
Any beer can be one glass.
That's true. One man here
That's
in
right.
Middle Tennessee knows that for a fact. What up, Shane?
That's right. Oh my God, that dude's insane.
But man, I'm excited to see the wheels in action because I feel like there was a post about it or a story about it recently, and just seeing it, I've never seen one before, so it definitely piqued my interest, and I'm gonna want to buy one, but I don't think I'm able to venture through 84 ounces.
I'll split it with you.
All right.
For what it's worth. I think we could both do of a Kolsch like this. I think we could both do.
Yeah.
You know, a Crowler's 32 ounces,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's
we could do one more Stonga above that, and
Yeah.
and be good. We could knock that out between the two of us.
I
It's
believe in you.
It's a plan.
See,
What about a Stonga of all heavy stouts?
Oh man.
so question on that is the wheel apply for the Kolsch's only, or can you actually buy individual Stongas of IPAs if you want to do IPA stouts, Kolsch's, and all that?
So just Kolsch.
Just
for
Kolsch's?
now. I
Okay.
mean, we might venture out and do it for like Pilsner,
Yeah.
or something like that. It's
That's
more
what
like
I was going to ask if you
it-
guys like do the like with Triberg makes a return.
I mean, it's the same like general cost structure. So like, and the cost of the product is about the same. So I wouldn't be against doing that. It's more of like qualitatively, is it going to still hit the same mark? The difference between like a Kolsch and say like a Pilsner is, especially with our Pilsners, is they're very aromatic, and once the head crashes, you kind of lose a lot of those aromatics. So I would need to like taste through 13 Tribergs and a Kolsch wheel.
if you need
just
a
for
test
science.
subject,
Oh,
I'm
darn.
available. No, but that makes sense, and maybe the style of glass isn't necessarily appropriate for the Pilsner either. Considering
Yeah, I mean, I think it could work.
Yeah.
I just haven't tried it.
Okay.
But I'm excited to see what it would be like.
Yeah.
for now, I'll drink a wheel of Kolsch's.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't imagine any other kind of style in that full array of madness, because that's just too much.
This one's crispy to say the least. It's,
Yeah, it is.
It's super tasty. I love the flavor on the back end. It's super easy to drink at the front. It's clean tasting right up front, and then right on the end you get that loads of flavor of just, and I don't know what it is, but it's a traditional Kolsch. It's super easy to drink. It's clean, and then there's a lot of flavor on the back end.
Kind of bready on the side palate, and
Bready,
a little
thank
bit
you.
of like herbal, kind of like noble hop flavor on kind of like the mid palate and the finish. Left with like a decent bitterness for me
Okay.
Yeah.
when I'm drinking it. And yeah, it's just the right amount.
Yeah, this one's perfect, man. Breadiness is what I got from it. I was trying to figure out that last note, and I think you figured out the profile for both of us here. I didn't have the floral part yet.
Bready was what it did for me. The light
Yes,
bulb just,
yes.
oh yeah, that's what it
It
is.
was. It's right on the mark. It's fantastic.
Good work.
This is one of those that I just asked for. Keep them coming.
Yeah, low ABV.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I want to say this is 5.1%.
Okay.
5.1.
All right, easy drinker all day. I like it.
Damn. It's smooth. I really, really enjoy this one. I do want to. I don't think I've drank this alongside a Triberg or anything yet, but
That would be fun.
yeah.
So if we're going in order of operations and kind of moving on to the next beer, what's good to follow this? So we've had a couple of discussions tonight about your Baltic Porter, and then I think Highgate, the new Highgate, is making the way into discussion as well, because I'm always interested about the experimental IPA series that you guys are doing, and I really want to talk about that one too. What's good to follow something like this?
I mean, what I would go in order wise would be like this, and then like Triberg or Reynard.
Okay.
Reynard's our French Pilsner that we
Okay.
released a while back, which is using Barbe Rouge hops from France. Very berry fruit.
Yeah.
Really love it. Probably one of my favorite Pilsners that we've released. And then from there, I would go a little darker, maybe go to like the sour side and do like a Romker or just regular Goza. Sakai, which is our cinnamon and cherry Goza, sweet and sour cherries.
Okay.
And then, into the IPA territory, doing some Yosemite, Highgate, Sterling, Victoria.
That Highgate.
That Highgate sounds good. I'm trying to think if I can't make my way through the whole gamut of beers tonight.
I mean, we can make it happen.
I'm here for it. Hey, if Ryan says I can do it, then I think I can do it. Ryan does have faith in me, remember?
You're right. Yes. Yeah. Gosh, it would be fun to do a extended session of just everything.
Yeah.
But, oh man,
we always try to match palates here. So
Yes.
I mean, it's one of the things we tell all of our new folks when they come in and we work through. It's like, look, like, don't just push people to one drink. Find out what they like and make a recommendation based on what they like, not
exactly
based on your perception of what people should like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they say they like IPAs, all right, let's go down that rabbit hole. Like, what kind of IPAs do you like? They say they like sours. All right, what kind of sours do you like? Because the last thing I want is for somebody to get a bad beer.
Mm-hmm.
right.
And it could be a very well executed beer. Like, it could be a Kolsch, be like, oh, this is the best thing ever. But like, if the person hates Kolsch, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you just had a terrible experience.
And then
And you lost a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they go on Untapped and give it a 1. Yeah.
I mean, we had that with Anduin, if you're familiar with Anduin,
man.
our cinnamon vanilla stout that we've done a number of times, and it's people love it. And we had customers raving about it. And then I remember seeing this one customer that they were like, oh, I guess I'll get this because this is supposed to be amazing. And they drank like 2 sips and didn't touch the rest of it, and then like left. And it's like, and that was, a customer recommending that to a customer. It's like, yeah, don't give in to peer pressure. Like, this person very obviously doesn't like heavy beers. Like, that is like a heavy pastry beer. Like,
very, yeah.
I think I had that one.
Mm-hmm.
Might have been with you here that day.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I typically don't go for cinnamon beers unless I'm with Mitch, because Mitch is always like, hey, try this, do this.
Yeah, and we've learned our lesson on some beers. Everyone's got their own palate, own flavor that they seek out when it comes to a craft beer. And I was overjoyed when I learned on my journey that you could get half pours or whatever. And a little goes a long way when you're just trying to try and find where you sit when it comes to flavors. So, if anyone's listening that hasn't done that before, I encourage you to just take it slow and, a little half pour at a time. But it's unfortunate that some people just force that kind of get it. You'll like it.
You've got those people that are always interested in having people try new beers, try something else, and then you do that, and then you go, but that's not the style that I like. That's not what I like. So I end up not liking the beer. If you and I decide we're going to split a 4-pack, we take the money home and then we try it, and I'm like, it's not for me. But you were like, hey, Richard, you should try it. Okay, I tried it. I figured out it wasn't my thing. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I come to Living Waters and I go, ooh, let me try this beer. And I buy it and I taste it and I go, oh, it's not that great. Now all of a sudden, in Ryan's mind, I'm a customer that's going to leave and go tell somebody else, hey, don't buy this beer because I didn't like it. So it's one thing to have a closed-loop communication between trying new beers. It's another thing to have somebody like a bartender recommend something, especially if it's not your style. It just creates this weird taste that all of a sudden when they leave, they're going to go somewhere else and say something.
I definitely got hit with a lot of that conversation from a guy who only drinks twisted tea. And he was like, I've never liked beer. Try and convince me. I'm like, I'm not going to try and convince you. You can go convince yourself.
There's enough twisted tea for him to drink. I don't need any of it.
Exactly. Oh, gosh.
So then what are we going to move on to then?
well, sounds like you need to do Highgate if you're wanting
I want
to
try the Highgate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could we try the Highgate?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Highgate's a series that we've been super fond of ever since the first one.
Yeah.
Experimental hops. And, I mean, there's been a few favorites. Number one, the first one's still been my favorite.
Yeah, I think there's a sentimental value to the first one, just because it was the first experimental IPA. They're all Citra based IPAs with some other experimental hop, I think, right?
Yeah, usually so this one we actually cut with a different hop variety. Usually I use Citra because it's a good orange base.
Yep.
This time we did Simcoe because Simcoe, our particular lot, is very peachy. And the flavor descriptors and the rub that we got on this experimental USDA crop was more in line with like that kind of flavor profile. And so we're like, well, if it's already got kind of peach in its descriptors and like that's kind of what we're smelling, we should pair it with something that's going to like hit that flavor profile. And we were kind of shocked. It tastes like Fruit Loops.
Okay.
Whoa.
I
I'm
don't
here.
understand why.
I don't have to. I don't need to understand.
But so it's a USDA 008, which is a crop that's from it's been in development by the USDA for decades. So it's a public domain, which means anybody can plant it. Anybody can.
There's no trademark or
No trademarks. It's kind of like there's a number of different varieties that are that way. Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe are not that way. So they tend to command higher prices.
Okay.
So USDA 008 is a more disease tolerant. It is a higher yielding because the USDA is trying to focus on what can we do to make hops that are exceptional quality, that get good yield, so that farmers can make more money and not have to worry about the crop going bad. And so that's kind of part of what we do is I brew with these hops that no one brews with, and no one wants to brew with 008. And then we make a Fruit Loop beer, and it's like, holy shit, we just made a Fruit Loop beer. And then we provide that feedback to our hop growers and the farms, and they're like, oh, wow, so you think this would actually be really good because they don't make beer.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this would be amazing. And also, we provide that information to, the different groups that sell the hops so that they can, be like, hey, if you want to make a Fruit Loop beer, use USDA 008. Here's what this other brewery did. And so then, we have a Fruit Loop revolution. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the idea is to, put a spotlight on these varieties that very few people brew with outside of, Yakima, Washington, or areas that predominantly grow hops.
Yep.
So,
I want to try that one.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Can we try it?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go on a rinse break. We'll be right back.
All right. Back with more beer. We got refills.
Refills or a new beer?
Yes.
Okay, both. We got the Highgate.
New Highgate, 1701 G.
Yep.
The Highgate series. Okay, so the Highgate series have a special place in my heart because I've been through every single Highgate since they started coming out. So I am a big fan of when breweries do experimental IPA series. So it's not really anything new. Lots of breweries do it. I feel like Living Waters is one of the breweries that does it best because they already take a great base. I mean, I get it. Citra hops are it's in almost every IPA. But my favorite hop is Citra. Give me an all Citra hopped IPA. I'm good with that. But then on top of that, experimental hop. So we've had multiple discussions on previous episodes, Mitch, about the hop varieties and all of that. So I'm really excited. And we got a little bit of a preface prior to the rinse break on 1701G.
Yeah, man. Have you smelled it yet?
Uh-uh.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's get a nose on this.
All right.
We're breaking some fundamentals
Ooh.
now because we get too excited to talk beer.
Yeah. Get back to basics, right? Oh, that smells really good.
I just snorted some of mine, so I got a real invasive.
Do what you got to do. I don't smell Fruit Loops. It smells extreme. This is going to sound totally canned, but it smells fresh. It's one of those flavor smell profiles that you could probably account for almost every new IPA. But this smells real clean. It smells fresh. Real hazy. I want to drink it right now. But Ryan, you gave us a little bit of a preview of it, kind of more with the USDA 008 hops, kind of more of a peachy vibe.
So
Is what it's supposed to be.
So the USDA 008, the descriptors and like what we rubbed was more peach centric and lemon and lime. And then we cut it with Simcoe this go around, which our Simcoe is very peachy, so it kind of match up with it a little bit. So yeah, just our Highgate series are always either experimenting with hop varieties, yeast strains, malts, or some combination therein. This one we actually messed around with water profiles, as well as the hop varieties and the malts a little bit too. So I kind of messed around with 3 different factors, and I like the direction it's going. I'm always playing with something.
Yeah.
So
Go on, sip.
Random query on the name itself, Highgate. Is there a particular reason you chose Highgate for the name of a experimental series when it comes to a body of water? I haven't looked it up, so I'm just kind of
question.
yeah, no. So Highgate's just a waterfall in the U.S. That I really like the name. If I'm being completely honest, this one has less of a story than most of our other beers. We get a lot of people that say our names are unpronounceable. And so I found a good waterfall that's in the United States. We're using predominantly USDA hops or experimental hops from the U.S., sometimes other things. But I wanted something that was recognizable for everybody as like its own kind of series of beers. And then obviously the Star Trek reference of NCC 1701 dash
nice
what vessel.
Nice.
I do see that.
Very
in
nice.
17. Okay. Why didn't I connect those dots?
Well, I had a friend who he leads a lot of Middle Tennessee anime conventions and whatnot. He mentioned the Star Trek reference to me once. I was like, I completely missed it. But I've watched like Enterprise and the Picard series and like Deep Space Nine, all that stuff. But it just went right over my head because I just haven't seen it in the past like 5 years in my face, like on public TV.
Yeah.
Like we stream now. So I binged everything, and then it's just in the back of my mind. So I completely missed an opportunity several times recording to mention it.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of these ideas to boldly go where we haven't gone before.
Very nice.
It's kind of the idea behind it. So that's why it's an experimental series. All of them are named after the different Starship Enterprises. So it's just kind of like, that's why it's our experimental series, because we're boldly going where we haven't gone before, trying out new things that we haven't done. And I haven't hit there's some varieties that I've been like, I would definitely brew this again. Others are like, well, that was fun, moving on. But some of those varieties we think will start like standardizing, maybe create their own brands around it, or
okay,
nice.
It just depends,
Yeah.
I also just like experimenting, so.
And this is your out to do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like your channel to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Let's sip in, Mitch.
Let's dive in. Oh, man.
Oh yeah, fruity. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, my goodness.
That's my 4-pack of the evening. I already know. I'm sure the Baltic Porter is going to be amazing too, and I'm going to be like, there goes another 4-pack. Like that's going to be.
That one's a later, though.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Oh, this is tasty. This is different from other Highgates. Like very different from other Highgates. Typically, I guess peachy would be the profile that I get on that. I don't get that strong peach flavor like I do on the other Highgate series.
Juicy.
All around it's just different. Still has that Living Waters taste to it though. Like you guys have a profile that you like to at least stay. In my opinion, when I taste something, I go, that's Living Waters. I think I said that when we talked with Ryan the first time. But I've got this. I can taste Living Waters beers, and I go, "Yep, that's the start of a great Living Waters brew."
I mean, when it's good.
Yeah, yeah, that's
You
true.
know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's definitely juicy to me, and I get citrus to it. I could see a like white peachy kind of flavor to it. I'm lucky to even say white peach just because I've been drinking a certain carbonated water with a lot of that artificial flavoring of white peach just shoved into it. But man, I mean, this is almost as crushable as that Kolsch in my opinion when it comes to an IPA. It's fantastic and clean. I mean, is it clean? It tastes clean.
I don't know.
It's a little hazy.
Yeah. How much of this do you normally make? when you do a Highgate series? So
It varies. Sometimes we'll do an 8-barrel batch or 7-barrel batch. Barrel is 31 gallons.
Yeah.
So, either we're making like 217 gallons, 248 gallons. This one we actually just went ahead and bit the bullet and made a close to 500-gallon batch, which is our larger 15-barrel fermenters.
Nice.
Just because, I don't know, it's been a while since we've done Highgate, and we distribute a little bit more now, and so all my other tanks were taken up with barrel-aged or stouts destined to become barrel-aged stouts, and Belgian quads, which are aging, and sours, which are aging, and Kolsch, which is aging. So it's like, well, I guess I have to brew 15 barrels of an experimental IPA. Hope this works.
We were talking about that when we were doing one of our previous episodes, and we talked about just like IPAs in general. Oh fuck, where was I going with this? I literally had a statement that I was going to say.
It escaped you?
It just literally just escaped me. Fuck. All right.
Well, we'll circle back to it.
Yeah, we'll circle back to it. It had something to do. Anyway. I'm not even going to bring it up, but
I mean, I love it when a plan comes together myself.
Yeah, this totally didn't do that.
As we sip on this drink, how more vague can I get? Highgate. We haven't brought up Mythos yet. Richard and I both have been Mythos for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the program's been going on for 2 years now, and on to a third.
Yeah,
Third one
so
coming up.
we're moving on to our 2022 Mythos. The final day for signups will be January 31st.
Yeah.
Or actually the night of January 31st. So technically, yeah. But 6 barrel-aged bottles exclusive to Mythos members, 10% discount on draft, ability to pre-order every barrel-aged beer that we do regardless, ability to select the coffee that we're going to do in our coffee stout for this year for our barrel-aged beer.
On that note, it was awesome having the tasting gathering, or what was it? I
was
lost the
Mythos
name.
party.
Mythos party.
Yeah.
It
We'll
was
do the
fantastic.
same thing this year. Do another big party and just drink a bunch of beer. You guys can drink a bunch of my sour cellared beer from my homebrew days that I've been cellaring for years, and just like I don't brew spontaneous and wild beers because I can't here, but I'll bring them in for one day a year.
Man, they were really well. The ones I had were really good.
Yeah.
I traveled through the previous year of Mythos, and oh man, I'm sad I missed out that year. That first year was pretty epic in my opinion when it came to the style of stouts and everything that came through. Really enjoyed the 2021 Mythos and everything I've had from that. We've got 3 to still talk about into 2022 that came out quarter 4.
Yep.
And I'm excited to dive into those, but it's just, and we get that sweet Triberg hat this year. I'm really looking forward to that, and a hoodie, and it'll be good to put all the gear together at home for the past 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. I definitely appreciate the crafter putting behind the Mythos Club.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're trying to make it something special, something fun. I think the one that I liked the most was our banana nib stout that we did this year. That was a lot of fun. Definitely stole that idea from Corey King at Side Project, because he started using that ingredient. It's like, what the hell is that? I've never even heard of banana nibs before, and super tasty. Tastes like bananas. So from Thailand, just kind of a little nibs that are like dehydrated banana kind of thing.
That's going into one of the stouts this year?
It's one of the Mythos stouts from this last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Why did I miss that one?
What do you mean?
Did I have that?
I don't think you've opened it yet. It's one of the barrel aged ones.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
To-
We haven't
tuned out for a second.
experienced.
Yeah. Woo.
The magic's there. We just need to
Yeah. Open it.
break the wax seal.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Hey. So on that note.
Oh, break it out,
yeah,
man.
I'm going to.
So I'll spitball here for a second while you get that.
Yep.
We subscribe to I can't think of it. It might be Hicks Openers or something. You might have heard of them. I forget exactly the full scope of who all he's connected to and whatnot. But we finally got our hands on a very useful utility tool for opening beer, especially waxed top beers. And it's got teeth on the side, and you can saw on it. And then it's got the bottle opener, and there's a magnet inside that you can just slap anywhere that a fridge is nearby, if that's where you keep all your stuff. But this one is a particular bright neon pink and yellow style of a Natty Light.
Natty Light.
Or Natter Day.
Nice.
And if you haven't seen our website, we've got a picture of us pouring, I think it's a Colt 45 into a glass.
Yeah.
So this is right up our lane here. Great for the summertime as well. It's got a good feel to it, good leverage when it comes to like opposite ends. One's the wax carver, and then the other is the bottle opener. And the guy does good work. I think he's got like a 3D printer, and then he sands it down, or I don't know the whole process, but it came out pretty nice.
It is going to be the Living Waters wax bottle opener.
Yeah, this one will be for us for sure.
We flash back to the Mythos party
Yeah.
that we had a few months ago, and I can't remember who it was that we were sitting and we were talking about it. And
That was Jim.
Was it Jim?
Yeah.
And just had the super wax like on top of the single bottle.
Oh, I don't know if that was Jim.
Oh, okay.
He has a
Jim
tool.
had one of the, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he had it that night, now that I remember, or try to remember
No,
back.
he didn't
I had
have
a lot
it
that
with
night.
him. No. There was a lot of beer drank that night.
Oh, yes. Yes, it was
I think
fantastic.
you guys went out to Mickey's afterwards, too, is what I heard.
Mitch went to Mickey's. I was lame and went home because that's what I do. I go and I drink.
Mickey sounds like a poor decision. At that.
It is. It's always a poor decision, but it makes sense when it's late.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good because at the time I thought going home was a poor decision. So
Well, I mean, in Murfreesboro, I used to go to Dirty Jim's,
true.
But it's just one of those things, man. I'm glad we got one of these openers because we haven't had like a good tool for opening wax bottles. Half the time I'm using a knife and then carving out a cork if it's got a cork in it.
Yep.
And I just don't think ahead of time. But this thing's got everything except the cork part.
Well, the last three of the Mythos bottles that we have some sort of looks like a wax pull on the end. I don't know if that's designed to go around or if it's just where you cut the wax off, but it seems like a good place to start to rip it open and at least be able to tear some of it off.
So the wax we get is very strong, and after we did the first one, we realized our mistake. You have to get it really, really cold in order for the wax to chip off very easily.
Yeah.
And so then we got wax, like you can get these little like basically tape that kind of goes around the top of the bottle, and you have to individually tape every bottle, which is
Oh my
pain.
God.
But once you dip it in wax, it's a nice way to open up wax for those. You still have to get it cold because otherwise it's not going to work.
Right.
But it is a pull string that you can just pull and it opens. But then there was a couple times, I think our anniversary was one of those where those two bottles never got the strings on them because we ran out of string before we got to. We were like, well, our anniversary's next week. We can't wait for this like string to come in to like wax all these bottles.
Right.
And so there's a few that still.
Let it ride, man.
Hey,
that's fine.
But yeah, no, I mean, we'll have those and all those. So all the Mythos ones have them, and we actually got the thicker ones this time. So hopefully they're a little easier than early
Sweet.
ones. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I did message the Instagram channel one time. It's just like, hey, it's a journey. But
when we were trying to open the
yeah, well, it was really our fault at the end of the day
Yeah.
because we just didn't have the tools prepared to get through wax. I just brought a bottle and didn't bring a knife, didn't bring like nothing.
it's the struggle of a craft beer nerd. It's like you used to be able to just carry a bottle opener and it was no problem, and all of a sudden it was like cans, and you're like, cool, I don't even need my bottle opener anymore. I got cans, and they're like, but wait, there's more.
Now we're getting fancy as fucking
Yeah.
here. It's craft
wax
beer.
bottles. You need a separate tool to open it and cut through the wax. And
Wasn't it Tailgate that waxed the bottom of their cans or something like that this last year? Something crazy like
Tailgate?
that. Yeah, I think Tailgate waxed the bottom of their cans or something like that.
Oh, I missed that.
I didn't get any, so I'd have to look back and see. But that
They
the
have three-
bottom of their cans.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
I think it was just like a joke.
As a joke?
Yeah. Making it fancy.
I think
And
they've got
it's
3
more craft
campuses.
if you put wax on it.
Oh, that makes sense. You could charge more for it too. It's fancier. No, in all seriousness, we were here a few weeks ago, and we ended up talking with what ended up being the owner of 17% Drip.
Oh, yeah.
On Instagram, and he saw us carry out our box of the Mythos beers, so 3, 4, 5, and 6, or 4, 5, and 6. And on our way out, he stopped us and was like, "Hey, I just have to ask, where did you get those?" And so we started communication, and and we ended up finding out, and we kind of exchanged information. Hey, we're the Foamy Heads. We're a podcast or a show. We're talking with people in the area and beer and anything that accompanies a glass. And he mentioned what he does cool bottle glassware and swag. And Mitch pulls up his Instagram and goes, "Oh shit, I've actually bought something from you guys before." So they were in town from Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah.
Enjoying some of the games here and
Heard about
exploring
Living
the craft
Waters.
beer. Yeah.
It's just
Awesome.
And it was a good relationship, and that we didn't even know Mitch had previously. And
Yeah.
now we got to meet in person and just talk, and got a chance to get him a couple of good beers here. So that was fun.
Definitely, yeah. What was the stout that was on tap?
I believe it was the Mythos. It was one of the Mythos beers that was on tap.
Hydra.
Yes, it was Hydra. Oh,
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that coffee in particular was like really, really amazing. And we were tasting. It's funny because we used the same base for 3 coffee stouts at the same time, just to see what the variability was between
Sweet.
what just the coffee does. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we could see exactly what it does, because we know that the beer underneath is exactly the same.
Right.
Our coffee rate and method was exactly the same, and so you could really see the difference that just
The
coffee
only
makes.
difference was the coffee.
The only difference was the coffee.
Interesting.
Wow.
So
Huh.
Yeah, the Hydra came out really nice, and he was saying something. He tried something that wasn't exactly what somebody had told him. I was like, well, hold on. Here
yeah,
you
I
go.
think somebody had told him it was a coffee stout, but it ended up being some like sweet milk stout.
Yeah.
Or some sweet
That's
stout that
true.
didn't have much coffee. He goes, I was expecting more coffee from a coffee stout.
We
I can't
didn't
remember
know
which one he tried. Like,
well, we didn't know how far out the information was to
right,
his
it
trip
could have been.
either.
Yeah, it could have been somebody that had made it away to Nashville some time ago, and we were like, well, hold on, try this Hydra.
Yes.
He loved it. It was so good.
Mm-hmm. He was sold then. It was a really good time catching up with him.
That I would say that Highgate is probably one of my favorite Highgates
Nice.
that I've had. I have a hard time ranking A through G just because oftentimes you log it, you rate it, you say this is great, and then you move on. And I know what a Highgate supposedly, kind of about what it tastes like, but it's an experimental IPA from you guys. But this one sticks out in my head because I get that fruitiness flavor for it, and I like that in an IPA, but it's sweeter at the same time too, probably coming from some of the citrus and the peach. But this is probably up in my top 3 of the Highgates that I've had. Nostalgia, the
Definitely.
OG, being my favorite probably. And then this one ranks in the top 3 for me.
yeah, I think one of our guys called it. He was tasting the tank. He's like, "This tastes like Dole Mandarin fruit cups, like orange fruit cups."
Ooh.
Yeah, and the little see-through plastic cups that you peel the top
you
off.
pull the top off.
Yeah.
and that's what he was saying. It kind of tasted like to him. I was like, "Oh,
See
okay."
that?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this is. I'm surprised we have some in front of us. It's that good,
Well, you do. Mine's gone.
I know. I know. I've been cherishing it. It's a damn good beer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have more. I'm gonna be taking home a 4-pack.
Yeah, this is a
At
4-pack
least.
for me. I don't know what time Ryan closes tonight, but he's getting at least one transaction out of me before we leave. I'm sure he'll take my money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Do we want to move on to shareables that we brought?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of clear the palate real quick and then come on back.
All right. We'll be right back.
All right.
Ooh, we are back. It is time for a shareable beer. Richard brought this one. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Hang on a second. Ryan was singing on the way back in. I was, okay. Ryan should have brought us back in on that one. Ready in action.
Nah, I'm good.
He's not doing it again. So, last segment of the show, typically. So we have, and last time we talked with Ryan, we were doing virtual. So this is our first time being able to sit down with him in person and doing this. But typically in the last part of the show, what we like to do is we each bring one of our own to kind of split with either the front of the house or the person that we're talking to. In this case, both. And bring something that comes from us as kind of a gratitude or token of appreciation. So there's not a huge story behind this one, but there's a gentleman that I work with, and I actually met him one day while he was walking by my office, and I was talking to somebody about beer, and he kind of stopped, and he kind of looked this way, and he goes, "Are you a beer guy?" And I go, "Well, I am a beer guy." And I'm thinking, okay, a beer guy, he likes, I also like Blue Moon and Stella Artois and all that kind of stuff. But he was like, "Man, I'm from Dallas," and he goes, "And we got some killer breweries in Dallas." And I go, "I'm listening to you now. Like, this is great." And so we developed this relationship. He's over in like the planning and allocation, supply chain, and I'm on the IT side. But that's what I like about craft beer is two people that have completely different walks of life have an instant connection the minute you start talking about something like beer. And so we developed this system where every week he brought me something that he doesn't think I'd had before, and then the following week I would bring him something. So he flew to Dallas, which he's from Dallas, and to kind of help out with some stuff with his family over there, and came back home with a shitload of just beer that you can only get in Dallas or around there.
Man.
And now Lakewood Brewing is something that you can get here. This isn't the first time, but Lakewood is from Garland, Texas, so they're a small town, but they have a series called the Temptress, and it's kind of their stout series. So they like to play with Oreos, and they have a Sin Mint, which is kind of their take on a Thin Mint cookie stout.
Okay.
A French Quarter, which is kind of that honey maple syrupy, stout, and then this one, which is called Bourbon Barrel Temptress.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout. Let's see, handpicked variety of. I'm just reading the back of the label at this point because I don't know anything about it. Variety of fine bourbon barrels, adding wheated bourbon barrels to the mix to produce a unique, subtle sweetness to the barrel profile. They then rest for about a year until they are ready for blending. You'll find a refined expression of rich vanilla and oak undertones combined with deep, dark chocolate aromas. So it's an 11.5% bourbon barrel-aged stout, 56 IBUs, and supposedly really tasty. Ale brewed with lactose, sugar, and vanilla aged in oak bourbon barrels.
Did you say the ABV?
11.5.
11.5.
11.5%.
All right. I'm surprised they were able to fit that mouthful on the little label on this bottle. Crazy.
Has anybody sipped this yet? Did you take a sip yet, Ryan?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to. I don't want to know if I
Dive
wanna
on
know.
in. Let's get into it.
All right.
It's got a very sweet nose to it.
It does.
And it's boozy.
It's definitely and it's barrel aged it's definitely barrel aged. Little strong on the back end, but it's not too overpowering. Like it's for 11.5, it's actually kind of easy to drink. I don't hate it.
Tastes kind of thin, you know. There is a lot of flavor to it. We've really
You
come
like those
prepared
thick
with-
boys.
yes, yeah. We went from crispy all the way to those thick.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I like it. Ryan, what do you really think of this beer?
I think that it is a good example of a barrel-aged beer with vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, it's got a
Nothing
little
more,
bit of
nothing
like
less.
lactose flavor to it. For a milk stout, I'd say it stood up decently well. They must have thrown either a lot of lactose at this or a fair amount of sugar just to like get the mouthfeel where it's at and to stand up for as long as it did.
Yeah.
Tastes a fair amount of corn, actually.
Corn.
Which, I mean, you'll see that in like certain bourbons that you're aging with. For me,
I'm trying to figure out where corn would come from on here. I don't know. I don't have
Well,
that kind of a palate.
Yeah, that's a profile mine's not able to reach for and get.
Yeah.
But that's when, part of me is going to reach out and try and figure out how I'm going to get into the sake world on tasting.
Mm-hmm.
But there are profiles that I just haven't learned what that flavor means yet.
Yeah.
And that's probably where we're blind with this one.
Yeah.
But it's better. It's a better milk stout than what I'm used to having.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's flavor blind now because of all the things they put in it. But it's to me, it's really delicious and boozy.
Or was the IPA going from an IPA and then going to this kind of mess with it a little bit too?
No, I think bourbon is 51% corn at least, right? So in order for you to get a bourbon, for it to be considered bourbon, it has to have corn in the mash bill. So that's what the sweetness for bourbon barrels comes from. So I think they probably just filled up the barrels very fresh. And if you're filling with like a Heaven Hill or some of the more like commodity level like bourbons, which is like what you see predominantly out there in the market from barrel brokers.
Yeah.
You'll get a lot of that like kind of corn flavor in the actual barrels themselves.
Nice.
And it's a struggle with milk stouts in particular because they do not age particularly great in barrels. Because you have to they're very delicate versus like a Russian Imperial where you just hit it with so much sugar. It's like you're starting at like 40 Plato and finishing at 20 Plato and like,
oh man,
it's like it's a sugar bomb. That's the thick boys thing, right?
Yes.
But yeah, it's a good beer.
So do I understand correctly that if you're doing like a Russian Imperial stout, then that's something that you maybe do want to hold off on a little bit or age a little bit longer, where something like a sweet milk stout kind of has a little bit less of a shelf life?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, they'll all age well. So, I mean, I've had milk stouts from us that I've been cellaring for 2 years, and they taste great. Even our coffee stouts. Coffee stouts, you would say 30 days is typically the window that everybody says, but we've had some coffee stouts that we've brewed that are 2 years old at this point, and I put them in bottles, and they still taste great. But depending on the recipe, it can get overwhelmed by the barrel. If you over oak it, or if you let it sit for too long, or it's just very bleh, just because the base can't hold up to the barrel. But like with a Russian Imperial, if you're going for those super high ABVs, really high like sugar content, it's going to taste terrible, absolutely terrible fresh. But then after like a year, 2, it tastes great. Some of the best barrels we have been like 16, 18 months.
Huh.
So that's my preference.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's an interesting game.
I learned something today.
Yes.
I learned lots of things today, actually.
Yeah, thanks for the knowledge, man.
Who says beer's not educational?
That's right.
Beer is mooey educational.
It's very subjective too. Like my
true.
preference is not what everyone's preference is. So
yeah.
Well, and that's what I like about Living Waters, and and I'm sure this exists in the industry where there's people that are just looking to book a profit, and then there's people that are just interested in saying, you know what, our name's attached to it. We're not going to necessarily put our name on it and sell it if we don't like it. And just talking with you, I know that you're the latter of that group, and there are times, I'm sure, when you have had to dump beer because it doesn't live up to your expectation and to your name. So rather than trying to break even or make some money off of it and potentially ruining your name, you're going to say, hey, you know what? This isn't going out into the wild. We're not putting our name on it. So I appreciate the subjectiveness of beer, because I think subjectiveness is what pushes people to higher expectations or higher levels of quality control before it goes out. So I have no problem with beer being subjective, because there is no standard. You make the standard, basically, and that's what I like about it. And Ryan does a good job here. The whole team at Living Waters does that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you vote with your dollars.
Yes.
Yeah.
You buy a beer from someplace like you might try it once, but if you don't want to go back for a second time, then you've failed as a brewer. If like somebody is just not interested, unless they're just like, I just want to drink Coors all the time,
Right.
or I just want to drink Budweiser. That's a different thing. But like with craft, people are into craft beer. You want people to like the product, and you want to find that right product for them, and you try to do your best to make a good product and present it in the way it's supposed to be presented.
Yeah.
Don't always succeed, but you try.
I don't think at this point you don't have to try very hard. It's everything you've got here
It's
is
working.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got us for sure. I wish I could be here every day.
You can be here
I mean,
every day.
technically.
Yeah. You know.
I mean, you can take readings from me in the morning.
See, the candle here would burn on both ends because I like coffee too.
Yeah.
So I'd be out of pocket every day.
Hey, I'm sure he doesn't mind that. Ryan would take your money any day of the week if you wanted to give it to him. All day, every day.
Man,
I provide a great service of coffee and beer.
that's
Yes.
right. It's fantastic. I just can't get over that Nashville has this level of craft beer still.
Yep.
It just blows my mind. I always saw Nashville growing up. It didn't have craft breweries, and it got Yazoo, and Zons and a few others started creeping in. Blackstone was there as well. I think my knowledge is shady because I wasn't able to drink yet when I think Blackstone and Yazoo first opened, but drink yet, air quote.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. But, it's been an interesting experience continuing to live here, seeing the craft scene grow,
Yep.
and the beer's just getting better.
Yeah, it's validation when you have people coming in from outside of the state, like Texas, going, hey, we're in town in Nashville, and somebody recommended coming to Living Waters for beer. I'm like, people know you in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope. And obviously that's the dream, but like probably not something you experience very often. It's people from out of state going, hey, I heard about you guys.
It's weird. We had this is kind of a funny story. When I was still working on bar back in I forget when it was in 2020, so like anyways, but the original owner of Goose Island came in. And like it was just kind of funny conversation, but he was just kind of looking at our barrels. He's like, oh, you guys do some barrel-aged beer? I'm like, yeah, we do some barrel-aged stouts. And he's like, what else you got in the barrels? I'm like, well, mainly stouts and barley wines. And he's like, well, I own a small brewery up in Chicago called Goose Island. And I'm like,
It was really relatively small brewery.
yeah, it was just kind of a funny thing. He's like, you guys are doing it right. I'm like, well, thanks, dude. Like, you would
Good to have
know. Like,
validation
yeah.
from somebody like that.
yeah, so it was just funny. But yeah, they had a good time, and I don't know. I think every time you present a good experience to somebody, that's what makes the word go to other places. And then when those people come into town, they're getting recommendations from others. Hey, I went to this place and had a good time. I love it whenever I walk in and I hear somebody like today. Somebody's like, yeah, I just came here yesterday for the first time and it was fantastic and I'm back today.
Nice.
And you want to hear that because so much about beer and also this place is more about the experience. Beer is great. Coffee's great. But if you don't have a good person behind the bar or good experience in the aesthetic and ambiance, like it doesn't matter how good your beer is. It doesn't matter how good your coffee is. It doesn't matter how good everything else is. If you have a foul kind of like element in any of those, like foul beer, foul person, foul environment, then like it's not going to come off good. You need that element of all three to really make that experience exceptional.
It's very true.
And it's the same with like beer. Like, yeah, I could pour beer into a glass, but if my glass is dirty, that beer's going to taste awful. If I have bad carbonation, if I have bad practices during our packaging, if I have bad practices in our fermentation, or any of the 1,000 different ways I can screw it up along the way, it'll ruin that person's experience. Doesn't matter if they had a good experience in the place, and the whatever. The worst compliment you could ever pay me is they have a great space, or they have great staff. But if it's not, well, we're a brewery. If it's not, you have great product and great staff and great place. That's great. But like, if somebody's asking like, what is a great brewery to go to in town? It's like, oh, well, if you want to go get food, go here. Well, it's like, why am I running a brewery if I'm not making great beer?
It's very true.
I mean, I hate to say it that way, but it's just like,
Makes sense.
I don't want to be known for my food. I want to be known for my beer.
Yeah.
Because I want to know that I'm doing it right. And it's great to have great staff. Don't get me wrong. It's great to have a good ambiance. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like, ultimately, what do I care about? Like, I am meticulous and OCD about my beer for a reason. It's because I want people to think it's exceptional and have a good experience. Because I think without that base component of the beer, you can't have everything else. You can have great staff, great ambience, all that. But if your beer isn't great, it doesn't matter. But you can't have it the other way around. Right. To me, we call it the oyster. It's like everything has to be perfect. Because if everything's not perfect, then you're not going to get that pearl.
That's a good way of saying it. I'm going to have to adjust my own reviews for public places to include what their specialties are in. Because it's super easy just to say, based on interaction, how good the staff and such is. But that one little step further to get intricate on the detail could help out a lot long down the line with the fundamentals of the whole place.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, if you have an exceptional person behind bar, and we try to train everybody to be, very knowledgeable about beer and stuff like that, but if you don't have somebody, and it's hard, right?
It is.
Service industry is difficult in general. I've had people cuss me out and do all kinds of terrible things to me when I'm working behind bar, and it's just like, cool, thanks for that. It's like, sweet. Do you want a beer? Do you not want it? Like, it's like, I tried to be as nice as I can right now, but it's just, when you're working behind bar, it's difficult because people can be really bad. And so to have staff that's as good as we have, I think is really a testament to the people we've got here. They're awesome. And, but in the back, we have to do the same thing. We have to do our damnedest to make the best beer we can. And we got to make sure that the environment is good. And it's just, I don't know, it's a passion and it's important to me. I think that's an element that we've been missing largely in beer, is the importance of all the details. Because, you have to, I want to taste through a 12-course meal whenever I'm tasting a Kolsch or a Triberg Pilsner or an IPA. And it's I want to taste it every step of the way. But if somebody just called me a dickhead, then it's not really going to make my experience very good.
Yeah, not at all.
And or if there's a bug in my glass or lipstick stains on the glass or.
Very true. There's a lot of little things that they make a big difference. Keeping it clean, keeping it concise.
Yeah, so that's my rant for tonight. Thank you. So, hey. I think it's my third one, just this first one on mic. So, it's because you give me the barrel-aged stout. So.
That's right. That's right.
We have one more, I think.
We do. We do have one more. And this is Richard and I did not coordinate on beers to bring. But, more the merrier is kind of my bottom line when it comes to craft beer. So we'll go ahead and get some fresh glasses for it. It's another heavy hitter.
Yep.
So we'll go refresh, and we'll be right back.
Damn it.
What happened?
He always does it right before we hit resume. It's like he knows.
Man. We do need a little bit of a intro.
Yeah.
Little tune.
Well, we had one, but Ryan decided to do it before we hit play.
And I talked over him the last time.
Yeah.
I have a very particular set of skills.
We are on our last, what we used to call lightning rounds.
Yep.
This is a Omnipollo Daedalus. It's a double almond, double chocolate, double coffee, imperial style with lactose, sugar, chocolate, coffee, and almonds added. It's 1 pint that we're sharing between all of us with a ABV of 12%.
80 flavors.
If you didn't catch all that, rewind. It's got an interesting can. Label. Omnipollo.
I like their can art.
They do all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
I can't begin to really explain this one other than like a pyramid-like maze with an eye on top and a teardrop, but it's not to the side of the eye like it murdered somebody, but it's above it, like watering the eye. If you have red, dry eyes, try Omnipollo Daedalus.
It's awesome.
You know, I'm kind of curious what we're getting into here. The last heavy hitter we had was super flavorful.
Yep.
Milk stout. And now we're on the imperial stout side, and it's still, we got that lactose sugar. So,
yep. We didn't plan this one very well, did we?
No, but I'm kind of happy how it turned out.
Yeah.
At least you didn't start with the Kolsch wheel.
That's true.
That's true.
We'll do the Kolsch wheel next time.
Started light, at least. This one,
very sweet taste. Very sweet smell.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say it smells very similar. Like my nose can't tell it apart from the other, except for this one might have a more focused fire approach on the, I don't know, I get a little more chocolate out of it for some reason.
Doesn't seem to be as bourbony or as boozy as the other one.
Yeah. That's true. It is less boozy. That's true.
Definitely sweeter in smell, though.
I definitely have a lot more of that chocolate note. The almond could be part of that sweetness. It's a double. Double almond, double chocolate, double coffee. So
well, let's taste it then.
Let's get into it.
That does not taste like how it smells.
It's stronger.
To me. It's super thick and sweet on the back end. Like super thick.
Yeah.
This doesn't smell like it tastes to me. I don't know if that's just me.
Huh.
Very chocolatey, I guess.
It's similar on the nose and palate, but the palate's much stronger. Those doubles are conflicting each other, fighting for dominance on mine.
Spent,
but
so I'm not a good judge of character at this point.
This is kind of reminded me of the Avery double vanilla that I was not a fan of.
I remember that one. That one was terrible. This one's way better than
that, yeah. This one's got the other two doubles that kind of like detract from that one's double.
That one was way too much vanilla.
There's too much math in this, but it's okay.
Yeah, I didn't do good in math.
It's pretty good. It's not my favorite thing, but
Ryan?
I would say
opinion here.
Yeah, no, I would say I can I like this actually a lot. Very nutty. Can taste a lot of the almonds. Could smell a little bit on the palate or on the nose before drinking, but now I get a lot of the lactose and the vanillin kind of character from the lactose. Very thick, a little boozy, syrupy, kind of from like they're adding a lot of sugar to this during the boil, probably a long boil, to kind of like really kind of like make it that thick kind of flavor. It's got a fair amount of fusel alcohols just from like the higher ABV and like probably I don't know. I have a few ideas of like what yeast strain they're probably using to like get this flavor, but yeah, it's like nice. I can taste a lot of the coffee. It's a lot of dark chocolate, milk chocolate kind of vibe for me on the mid palate. But what finishes is mainly the chocolate and vanillin kind of flavor.
Vanilla.
Very nice.
That's it. Did you say the ABV on it?
Yeah. I don't remember it.
Oh.
12%.
This one drinks a lot better than the Bourbon Barrel Temptress did, considering the same ABV. Like they're two completely different beers, but this one is a little bit easier to drink in terms of
sugar and boil.
Okay.
I don't know. If I'm thinking from like a technical perspective, you're getting that thickness because there's just something about a longer boil, something about more sugar adding into the boil that makes it kind of have that stronger character. I don't think it's barrel aged is probably another thing.
No, yeah.
I don't get any bourbon on it, but the boozy that I do taste is more of the alcohol burn than
so it's just kind of a base stout, like base milk stout with like solid imperial like long boil character. In fact, I have a recipe that I want to try that's like along this vein of just like thick boy milk stout. I'm waiting for Tennessee to change the laws and make it so I can make really big boys.
Really
Makes
big
sense.
boys.
Yeah.
What's Tennessee law?
Tennessee law for beer without a high alcohol license is 10.1%.
10.1.
Ah, man.
Anything over 10.1%, you have to have a high alcohol license to manufacture, or you have to get permitted for that.
Got it.
But out-of-state folks actually have a little bit of an advantage there because it's just they just get licensed and they don't have to worry about the manufacturing side of things.
Got it.
Whereas we have all these additional regulations we have to go through in Tennessee because we manufacture here.
You'd think it'd be the other way around, considering the people living here.
Right.
You would want to support the people living here more than the out-of-state people, but
Well, there's certain distributors around that own a majority of, well, let's just say for the longest time we were protecting the distributors against certain large beverage companies, manufacturers, and a lot of the laws are geared towards the distributors because of that protection of the distributors and lobbying by the distributors,
I see.
which now it's been reversed and there's a lot more small producers, so we actually kind of get the short end of the stick just because we were protecting people against Anheuser-Busch, old Anheuser-Busch, and Miller Coors and all those guys.
big three.
But I'm confident and hopeful that some of the laws are going to change this year, maybe next year. We'll see. We're taking it slow.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that I definitely enjoy hearing that it'll be sooner than later. So
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully.
Just keep supporting the Tennessee Brewers Guild. Hopefully they'll actually make some changes. We'll see.
That's a really damn good point.
Yes. This has been great, man.
Yeah.
I think it's been a great time. The beers tonight were awesome.
Yeah. I mean, keep
Thanks for
doing what
sharing.
you do, man. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to Ryan and the Living Waters team.
What a great time, man.
Yeah.
The after you talking up Omnipoyo, I'm like, oh shit. But no, I'm still feeling the same right now. Maybe as it warms up, I'll get a little more inclined to it. But
Beer is beer, man. Everybody
Yeah.
can have, like, one of the things I tell all my folks whenever we're tasting through DeGards and Cantillon and
oh yeah,
everything's like, you like what you like.
Yeah.
You taste what you taste. Like, doesn't matter if I say it tastes like flapjacks and you think it tastes terrible. Like, stick to your guns, taste what it tastes like, because to you that's what it tastes like, and that's what's important. And we want people to speak their mind, because if we taste defects, we want to know what those defects are. And if somebody else tastes something but they're too scared to say it because they're like, well, everybody else is saying this beer tastes great, well, then you're in an echo chamber and you're screwed.
Yep.
yeah.
So we always encourage people to say whatever they want to say. If you hate it, it's okay. I'll forgive you for hating some Nipolo. So
Yeah. And I'm still learning, you know, every time I drink a beer, I'm hoping that I at least gain or glean something from the beverage when it comes to a flavor profile. I mean, dove into sours the past 2 years. That's been an experience. Can't say I've grabbed everything I could from that, but yeah, I mean, you know, with no direction, it's a little challenging pulling out the information I want to know. But
I think as brewers, we are struggling to find out what the direction for sours is in general. It's like, are we going for a fruit smoothie, or are we going for something that's like technical execution? Like, what is the goal here? or is it just more candy?
As far as I know, in Middle Tennessee, they want cereal. I don't get it. Like, just go buy it at the store.
I
But
just need to throw some USDA 008.
Yeah,
into
just
a
get some
sour.
Fruit Loops
Yeah.
IPA and you'll be good to go.
right.
Fruit Loop sour, just without the Fruit Loops, and people would be like, "I want more Fruit Loops."
I want more Fruit Loops. in
Put
my
it in a
sour.
pouch and stick a straw in it. I mean,
Yeah, I'll be good with that.
It's a triple dry cerealed with
Yep.
Fruit Loops. You know,
yes.
With-
Extra frosted.
With pieces of toucan birds in it.
right.
goodness gracious.
Toucan nibs.
Pure rainbow in this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ryan, anything coming up before we close out? Anything that's on the horizon for Living Waters? We talked about the
Yeah.
wheel.
Yeah,
That's
so
out,
I
that's
mean,
out.
Kolsch wheels are available here now, and that's kind of a big fun thing. I think the next big release we have this week is Baltic Porter, which is awesome. Love where it's at. We did a collab with Dissolver back in December, or no, it would have been this summer, and then we lagered that. They lagered that and released it, and it was great. And so we iterated on that kind of recipe and did our own version here, and this is that take on it.
Sweet.
It's called Neiman.
Neiman.
And after that, we've got, Mythos Club. So if you're interested in the Mythos Club, the sign-ups end on January 31st.
Yep.
And yeah, we're going to keep trying to experiment with new things, try to push the envelope, try to convince everybody else to do the same.
Yeah.
Because that's what we believe. It's not enough to just advance ourselves. We need other people to challenge us and say, I want to say about other people, like, how did they do that? And try to learn and do better. And we want other people to want to do the same thing. I think everybody benefits from that.
Brings everybody
Yeah.
up at the same time.
Yeah.
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 So, but that's our challenge, is to always make better beer and try to make the best beer we can, and never accept where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Never be complacent and say this is enough, because there are plenty of breweries that said this is enough. We'll just make Bud Light forever. Throwing a little shade towards Bud Light, but whatever.
I doubt Bud Light's listening right now.
Yeah, there's no way.
But you can do better,
Yeah.
and that's what I want. I want people to do better.
Do better. That's perfect, man.
Definitely.
That's it. What do you
Think
think
of the
Mitch?
oyster.
There you go. Closing
Man.
thoughts, Mitch?
It's wonderful to be able to be in person in the space that you've provided,
Mm-hmm.
and all the beer on tap, being able to get that fresh as possible.
Yep.
So, thank you again for having us, and I'm glad we were able to have a moment in the day to just
Yeah.
talk beer.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I'll second that. I'll cheers to Ryan, and I'll cheers to Living Waters as a crew, and thank you guys, everybody, for coming out, and Ryan for hosting us. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Cheers.